Naturally, when talking about a series centered around the court of law, the most important plot thread surrounding the Ace Attorney trilogy is about a clan of spirit mediums that can channel the souls of the deceased and allow them to possess their own bodies. Which is just something that you have to accept when in the middle of a heated debate about the validity of fingerprints on a murder weapon. A spirit medium will channel the soul of her dead sister to help give a lawyer a reminder about the rules of law. The Fae clan of spirit mediums is split between the main family, which includes the current master of Kurain Village, Misty Fae, along with her daughters Mia and Maya, and then the branch families, which consist of some salty lads that are secretly planning to murder the main family in order to make their own children the future clan leaders. Meanwhile, criminal defense lawyer Gregory Edgeworth, who is the father of Miles Edgeworth, who looked up to his father both literally and figuratively, to the point where he held a class trial like a Danganronpa character in order to defend accused lunch money stealer Phoenix Wright, was in a heated court debate against undefeated prosecutor Manfred von Karma when he soiled von Karma's flawless reputation by revealing that he had used falsified evidence. So naturally, Mr. Karma decided to murder him while he was in the elevator with his son. However, the power in the building went out, and the bailiff, Yanni Yogi, went nuts and started to tussle with Gregory. So Miles took Yogi's gun from his holster and tossed it at the two of them to try and get them to stop fighting. But the gun discharged and shot Manfred through the wall instead, which is probably funnier to me than it was intended to be. Manfred then finds the three of them passed out due to oxygen loss and gives Gregory Edgeworth a bullet of his own. Misty Fae was then hired to channel Greg's soul, to have him reveal who had popped him. However, he had no idea who killed him, because he was unconscious, and you can't tell who kills you when you're unconscious. So he blamed the only other guy in the elevator who did not come from his nutsack, Yanni Yogi, who then escaped conviction by pleading insanity, which caused him to lose his job as a bailiff, and Misty, along with the entire Fae clan, to be seen as frauds, as she had helped implicate the wrong man. Manfred then adopted Miles in a long con method of getting revenge by raising him to be a ruthless prosecutor instead of a ruthful defense attorney like his father Gregory. So Miles spent his childhood alongside Manfred's daughter, Franziska, who Manfred also raised to be a ruthless prosecutor. Just like not for any revenge-related reasons. He also apparently raised her to love whips. Also, can't imagine there's any plot-related reasons for that. Misty Fae was so ashamed that she left behind Kurain Village, making her eldest daughter Mia the next in line to be the master of Kurain Village. Mia then left behind Kurain Village, making her little sister Maya next in line to be the master of Kurain Village, as Mia decided to become a lawyer in order to discover what really happened to their mother. However, all she discovered was that everyone involved in court is a nutcase, as her first trial involved defending an escaped convict who was so in love with 14-year-old Dahlia Hawthorne that he consumed poison in the courthouse to avoid implicating her of her crimes, which involved stealing a diamond from her father and murdering her older sister. And so, after one whole trial in the Ace Attorney world, Mia already needed a break, and started dating fellow defense attorney and coffee addict Diego Armando, who began investigating Dahlia on his own. And in her second, but not last case of poisoning a man, she spiked Armando's coffee, causing him to enter a comatose state, where his eyes were badly damaged, and his hair turned white. Which makes him look cooler in my opinion, but the blindness, yeah, that kinda sucks. Oh wait, he gets a sick mask? Alright, never mind, you've won me over again. It was then that town bicycle Dahlia met gullible simp Phoenix Wright, who she gave a necklace with the poison enclosed inside as a method of hiding the evidence. Later, in a completely unrelated case, where Dahlia had her new boyfriend implicated in the murder of one of her old boyfriends, Phoenix Wright was defended by Mia in court, who proved the redhead guilty, and Dahlia was locked away for life. The key word is life. Phoenix Wright then became a defense attorney after being inspired by Mia, or maybe after being inspired by a young Edgeworth. It depends on when you ask. And so Phoenix joined Mia at the Fay & Co. law offices, where on his first case, he must defend his significantly less cool childhood friend, Larry Butts, after Butts' girlfriend was murdered by a burglar, wielding a clock in the shape of the Thinker that states, "I think the time is 1 p.m., or so on, whenever it strikes an object, or a head. And yes, this is the first case of the first game, and we're already talking about a clock in the shape of the Thinker being used as a murder weapon. Phoenix visits his mentor's crib in the dead of night, only to discover that she was dead. And what was the murder weapon, you may ask? The Thinker clock. And yes, this is the second case of the first game, and we're already talking about a clock in the shape of the Thinker being used as a murder weapon. Twice. So Phoenix must defend his dead mentor's weird sister Maya in court. However, his opponent in the courtroom this time isn't a balding man that really loves his wife. It's a now edgier, still wifeless Mr. Edgeworth, who will do anything in his power to prove the defendant guilty. However, what Miles doesn't have is Mia. And by Mia, I mean Maya, who can channel Mia's spirits whenever Phoenix is getting a facts and logic-based belt whooping in the courtroom, to help bail him out. And so, thanks to Mia blackmailing her murderer beyond the grave, the real perpetrator is found guilty, and Miles is handed the first of many L's that he will take in this series. But while his time with Phoenix in the courtroom does not develop into a guilty plea, it does develop into unnecessary feelings. Maya then makes herself Wright's new assistant, a job which requires making entertaining remarks about every single object in a room whenever Phoenix is investigating a murder case, which is extremely important for my entertainment when playing the games. And the two make use of the apartment Mia is no longer occupying, fashioning it into the home base of the newly founded Wright & Co. law offices. And the two occasionally get help from Detective Dick Gumshoe, who is broke and living off instant noodles after getting his pay lowered due to every mistake he makes during investigations, which almost makes you feel bad for him. But the detectives really only get like 15% of the evidence that gets presented in court. All the other evidence is obtained by a spirit medium, just like grabbing items that are hanging around in plain sight. So maybe he really isn't that great at his job. After Maya gets Phoenix to defend the actor for her favorite TV show in court, and Phoenix assembles enough miscellaneous items to prove him not guilty, the real twist of the game occurs, as Miles gets framed for the murder of the defense lawyer that was involved with Yogi's insanity plea, a murder which was actually committed by Yogi himself, except now an old man because of aging. So Phoenix must defend Miles in court against his adopted father, eventually proving Yogi guilty, and getting a 2-for-1 also proving Manfred guilty of murdering Gregory, after they literally pull out a metal detector in court to reveal that he still had a bullet in his shoulder. Maya then leaves Mr. Wright to train her spiritual powers back at her hometown village, and the first game of the Ace Attorney series comes to a close. Well, unless you're playing the Trilogy collection, in which case sit your butt back down for another 9-hour trial where one of Mia's old lawyer buddies gets in some hot water and her sister seeks Phoenix's assistance in defending the accused. And I think she's a character from one of the newer games. Look, this isn't Apollo Justice explained. I don't need to know who she is. For now, she's just Science Maya. Just like, instead of caring about hamburgers, she likes criminal forensics. Nick visits Maya's hometown Karain village and meets her little cousin Pearl, whose mother, Morgan Fay, stages a convoluted closed-room murder using a crazy lady cosplaying as Maya in order to implicate Maya in murder. Also, her big four-headed daughter can be the next leader of the Fae clan. Now Phoenix is neck deep in the effed up world of Ace Attorney, where instead of innocent until proven otherwise, it's guilty until someone else gets proven guilty. Phoenix could be like, well, Maya was unconscious during the killing, so she could not have shot Mr. Turner. Yeah, that makes sense. You can't kill people when you're unconscious. And the real murderer is this woman, who dressed up as Maya, and this evidence proves it. Sorry, Mr. Wright. The soundtrack didn't stop playing. You must have presented this evidence on the wrong line of dialogue. Maya will be executed by firing squad tomorrow morning. However, the court system isn't entirely bad. Like when you get a not guilty verdict, confetti starts raining from the ceiling, which is pretty cool. And so Maya gets out of her 5th murder charge of the year. And Morgan Fay is relocated to a new home with some stylish barred windows. Oh yeah, by the way, at this point in the story, Edgeworth has become Angstworth and leaves the country of Japan, California, vowing to find what it truly means to be a prosecutor. And whenever anyone brings him up, Moody Butt Phoenix is like, don't mention his name to me ever again, he's dead to me. So Franziska takes over as the main prosecutor and starts whipping people. Outside of the court of law and inside of the court of law. She will literally whip the person who is testifying on the witness stand. She will literally whip the judge. Well, I guess it could be worse. She could be throwing hot coffee on people's faces. Maya then gets kidnapped by a guy literally called The Killer. And yeah, it wouldn't be a comedic Ace Attorney video if I didn't make the obvious joke that nearly every character in this franchise has a name that relates to their character. Key witness, Frank saw it. Flashy burglar, look at me. Godot. There's something there, I just haven't figured it out yet. So Phoenix is forced to defend the killer's client, who, in a series twist, isn't a misunderstood nice person who had the murder pinned on them. He's actually an irredeemable psychopath, who hired a killer to murder someone. A killer named The Killer. Franziska then gets an ironic bullet to the shoulder, ironically by some of The Killer's ironic goons. So Edgeworth returns to the United States of America and is like, I've discovered what it truly means to be a prosecutor, and it's to find the truth in the court of law. Okay, that's great and all, but finding the truth in this trial means that The Killer is going to murder my assistant. Maybe I should have made my return during the circus case instead. I feel like a clown. So the two grown men play footsie in court, stalling for enough time until Franziska is able to obtain some key evidence from the half-dead body of Gumshoe, who did all the hard work actually obtaining the key evidence until he crashed his car on the way to the courthouse. So after showing The Killer's walkie-talkie on the witness stand that his client had secretly filmed him committing the murder, he voids their contractual agreement, and Phoenix's client pleads guilty, opting to go to prison to avoid being killed by The Killer. A year later, Maya and Pearl plan to do some spiritual training at a Kurain temple. And at the scene, Phoenix discovers that one of the maidens looks just like Dahlia, except cured of her ginger condition, which is strange because Dahlia had just been executed last week. Also, Misty Fey is here, and Maya doesn't even recognize her own deadbeat mother, which is sad. And she won't get the chance to reconcile with her because Misty ends up murdered, which is double sad. Phoenix wants to check on Maya and make sure she's okay, but the bridge connecting the two catches on fire. And Phoenix thinks he's the protagonist of an action game and not a point-and-click visual novel game, and tries to run across a burning bridge, which breaks, causing him to fall 200 feet into a raging river, which somehow only results in him catching a cold for a couple of days. Are you telling me this is the same series where two people died after being hit in the head with a clock? Well, maybe Phoenix is just stronger than we thought he was. His neutral game is pretty elite, I must admit. Meanwhile, Edgeworth takes on the case defending Dahlia's twin sister Iris, and debating Franziska von Karma in court, acting as a defense attorney, just like his late father. A decision that the devs thought was so cool that they made 2 whole spin-off games with Edgeworth as the controllable character. Well, Edgeworth is able to postpone the trial so that Phoenix can inherit the case, because a guy who just fell off a bridge 2 days ago should be allowed to take on a case where the main suspect is a girl that he dated in college, and the second biggest suspect is his co-worker, and the victim is his co-worker's mother. And the prosecutor taking Franziska's place going forward in the trial is Armando, now going by his secret alias Godot, because a guy who dated the daughter of the victim and had previously helped prosecute the twin of the defendant should be allowed to take on this court case. There seems to be some flaws in the legal system of these games, but I'll let it pass because the confetti thing is still pretty cool. Well, eventually it's revealed that Dahlia schemed and connived with her mother Morgan Fay up in the penitentiary to try and, once again, take out a hamburger addict who has evaded the cold embrace of death 7 times now. However, while the plan was for Dahlia to be channeled by the naive Pearl, who was being misled by her mother, Misty Fay instead channeled her soul first, to protect her innocent niece from the upcoming danger. Unfazed, the Dahlia-possessed Misty still attempted to shank Maya, in order to get her revenge on Mia. But out of the shadows comes Godot with a steel knife, killing Maya's mother in order to protect Maya, all for the sake of his lover, Maya's dead sister. Kind of a wild and wacky situation when you phrase it like that. And so Godot, too sick, too based to remain a staple character in the series, was found guilty of murder and locked away behind stylish bars. Also, Dahlia's soul gets exorcised out of Maya's body halfway through the trial, which is probably more shocking than a guy with a light-up mask murdering someone. And so everyone lived happily ever after. And Phoenix definitely didn't become a hobo. A sexy hobo. Look at his stubble. Oh. Subscribe! So that you know when I upload a random video on a Friday in 2 months, because my upload schedule is just completely random. If you have a game or a series you'd like to see me cover next, then leave it in the comments below. Thank you for watching, and hopefully I'll see you next time.